First, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me here today. And I want to acknowledge it's intimidating talking about libraries in Egypt. You've been doing this for a few thousand years, much longer than we have in the United States, obviously. So, but it's exciting to come here, and I really do want to kind of just start by mentioning a few of the things that the ambassador had mentioned. So, the Honorable Ambassador talked about, these quotes, investing in humans and moving from a storage of books to places of culture, as well as knowledge being a true right. And I think those are critically important when we talk about artificial intelligence. And so we really have to think about, human first AI integration, and that's what's going to lead things moving into the future. Because I think, I'll read from my prepared speech here. The new AI information landscape is defined by a velocity crisis. That's what we're running into now, the crisis of just speed. These large language models and generative AI tools and the social media platforms that push this content are basically allowing the dissemination of misinformation at shocking speeds, right? And we're witnessing this fundamental shift where the logic of information production is just increasingly hidden. We're not able to see how knowledge is constructed in ways that we could with traditional text, with books and research journals and things like that. So, what I argue is that, it's the opposite of what libraries do best, right? Where we show the world how information connects and builds upon itself, and that's very much what AI tools are starting to hide. So how do we address this collectively, globally, as those invested in the information sciences? And for the research library and the scholarly communities, the traditional role of basically reactive fact checker, debunking fabrications and misinformation is no longer sufficient. Right? We need to be able to move faster and be ahead of this information in ways that we weren't in the past. So instead, we must become proactive architects of data integrity. Right? Building the technical, pedagogical, and ethical infrastructures necessary to ensure the scholarly record remains a site of verified truth. Information integrity in the age of AI begins with acknowledging that generative AI does not merely access pre-existing documents. It constructs new responses, and it blurs the boundary between original records and fabricated content. This creates an illusion of authority that we have to address. Basically where AI outputs look authentic and they look true even when they're entirely unproven. And the lack of transparency in AI training data, or the black box problem as we call it, creates a distance between the users from the underpinnings of their search results and how they find information, making it nearly impossible to audit systems for predictable biases against communities, and the environmental demands from a retrieval-based information towards more deeper, more critical engagement with information. That's, again, what libraries have done forever, help people through these processes. And the challenge of integrating AI is it's almost designed to do these. So librarians are uniquely positioned to serve as the essential humans in the loop within this AI life cycle. And this role is anchored in the library's historical expertise in information collecting, vetting, and cataloging. Now these skills need to be applied to ensure that AI systems are trained on high-quality, well-attributed data rather than recycled, misused slop. As custodians of data integrity, librarians must advocate for correct by construction models where correctness is designed even before the coding of AI systems begins. And without rigorous standards, AI systems may hallucinate based on misreadings of obsolete file formats, which we'll talk more about later today, or what we are sure to see more of in the future, poisoned corporate or poisoned data sets. So we have to champion systems of digital signatures and trust markers that authenticate the origins of a record, ensuring the scholarly record is traceable and accountable. The technical infrastructure must be paired with what's increasingly called a fair data standard, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, to ensure AI platforms are built on trustworthy scientific corpora rather than opaque databases. This is something that the AI developers need from us as the educators and the research scientists and the information scientists of both education and library systems. Ultimately, librarians have to become trusted agents and basically create space for community laboratories for AI technologies. And we have to provide the infrastructure for our patrons to experiment with these systems, understand their capabilities and the talents that AI systems might replace, while providing the human guidance necessary for our patrons to make strategic decisions. The involvement is vital to ensuring that these institutions lean into partnerships with AI, and we do not lose sight of the human values when we have those partnerships. And protection of the scholarly record is no longer guaranteed because more and more these data sets are playing an outsized importance in how that data is used. And if we don't address this collectively and globally as information scientists, we're going to be left behind. And so it's up to libraries, universities, and research centers to create digital defenses and a commitment to information integrity to serve our patrons.